RotoGrinders NFL Pick 6 show, week number 18. We made it. The information slate, sponsored by Thrive. Do want to welcome y'all back. As always, Rich Hribar of Sharp Football Analysis. John Daigle, 4 for 4. Bet Spurts. Should get this out of the way, by the way. We are going to be back for the playoffs next week. It'll be a much better show, I think. just gonna assume that before we dive in on a Wednesday night, breaking down the information slate or the lack thereof. We're going to touch on Saturday as well. The 2-gamer on Saturday. Big contest lurking out there. So we'll talk about that and give some favorite plays that we're looking at on a Wednesday night for the 13-game main slate. Let's bring in Rich Hribar, enjoying that legalized sports gambling there in the state of Ohio. Take your victory lap on Mike Evans. He's smashed for you for DFS. He smashed for you for legal sports gambling. And, it was a martingale. Eventually, it had to hit, and it hit hard.
Yeah, listen, we weren't chasing blind. I tried to make a legitimate case. We didn't play him just because he was due. Things lined up. Maybe we'll run back Daigle's guy, Rashid Shaheed or Chris Olave for good faith against C.J. Henderson and the boys there in Carolina. But, Big Mike got us there, every single DFS lineup. Even my Sunday chat, I haven't had someone who's like, I heard you talk about Mike Evans. Are you sure I should start him in my championship? I was like, listen, I know you don't want to, but trust me, this is the week, man. He's going to come through. He's going to make it all worthwhile. So happy New Year to Mike Evans, 2023's fantasy football leading scorer.
Daigle, did you listen? I know you were on the fence listening to the Hribar about Evans. I did not, for the record. Bad job by me. Did not play.
I told you, but I even said, I was like, no one's going to listen to me. And I can't move a needle. And not even the people I do the show with listen to me.
And I fully respect your opinion, but I was like, I pick and choose.
I piggybacked. I was talking to you behind the scenes in a unique way, and that even when the 4 for 4 subs, we were in our DFS chat, were talking to me about stacks and whatever. I literally, the last thing I told them before signing off was, listen, I don't know if I'm coming around to it. I'm trying to work it in here, but I do know good friend Rich Hribar is on Mike Evans. Like, that's my selling point, is that Rich is playing him. I can't tell you I am, but I know Rich likes him a lot. So that's where I had it. I'm glad you started with him, though, because I know he also had Amari Cooper in a lot of stacks as well, since he talked about Deshaun Watson. And, of course, it took 6 throws in the second half, really, for Deshaun Watson to get there. It didn't look pretty in the first, but
I can't victory lap Deshaun Watson. That was he got me there, but I'm not gonna count like this 9 for 18 performance.
He was kind of terrible. He got sacked 5 times too, if I'm not mistaken.
He threw a pass to an offensive lineman at one point. It was pretty cool. It was a pretty good time. But he had 22 points, man. So listen, we're not gonna be beggars and choosers.
He outscored Aaron Rodgers every single week this year, I believe. I'm pretty sure every single score he put up. The 2-gamer, let's talk about that one briefly before we fully dive into the 13-gamer on Sunday. Chiefs at Raiders, 52.5 is the total. Tennessee at Jacksonville. 2 games, teams that are motivated. At least 3 of these teams are motivated. Raiders, of course, hitting that sim button. There is some incentive stuff as well on the Jags side. I was looking at Christian Kirk. This looks like an awesome matchup for Christian Kirk. I was on the RotoGrinders sister channel, scores and odds, talking about his total was, I think, 54 yards. It's since got up, or maybe it was 51. He's got an incentive to hit 90. Of course, Tennessee, we know about the pass funnel in Jacksonville. It's a loser leaves town game here, Tennessee versus Jacksonville. I'm curious, your thoughts, John. Is that a good place to start as far as Christian Kirk? And I believe Zay Jones, several players have incentives as far as receptions and yards. I don't have it in front of me, but they're doable. It's not like it's 430 yards for Patrick Mahomes to have the most passing yards of all time. Oh, wait, that's doable too. We can touch on that also against the Raiders. But, John, dealer's choice, wherever you want to start as far as slate.
We can also talk about Jared Stidham somehow being the best quarterback in the NFL all of a sudden. That Chiefs game, it could be really bad, but it could be a lot of fun too. It's really just going to depend on Stidham's entire career. But for the Jaguars, it is interesting, and I know the incentives are what people continue to cite here. But remember, we keep going back to wide receivers against the Titans anyhow. Like, they're still just second in yards per attempt against boundary receivers where we want to play Zay Jones. They're still getting tagged from the slot where we want to play Christian Kirk. And more importantly, even against the Texans, even the week prior in the rain against the Jets, like we keep playing Evan Ingram, not only for his target share, but because they're concertedly scheming him targets. They purposely move him in motion and get him one-on-one against linebackers and allow him to do action after the catch. So overall, it's honestly still a good spot. My only question is now, the Titans have, on purpose, this 14 days of rest, a bye week without having a bye week. And so they're going to get back Amani Hooker in the secondary. They're going to get back starting safety Christian Fulton. And these guys probably aren't players that necessarily move the needle to make the Titans an above-average defense, but we're trying to ask, is it enough? Like, are they enough to actually slow this one down? And that's kind of where I'm at right now, because if so, and the Titans are hanging around here, and although we saw Dobbs nearly throw 3 dropped interceptions, 3 more interceptions to the Cowboys, like he at least had an arm, whereas Malik Willis did not. And so maybe it is enough to where Derrick Henry hangs around here and is just kind of the guy you need to have anyhow. So I'm still teetering on this one, but I honestly think the Titans' rest matters more than everything else.
How about Dobbs jumping in and being the guy? Like, how down is Willis? Like, man,
it's intergalactically down.
It's
real bad. And it's hard to fault them, right? Like, it's hard to, because you couldn't run a real offense. And it's not that Josh Dobbs is particularly good last Thursday against the Cowboys, but at least they dropped back and threw the ball 39 times, right? Like, you gave yourself a puncher's chance. He had a few drops. They actually made a couple big plays too in that game, and those are just things that weren't in the offense at all with Malik Willis in the game. So at least gives this game a little more upside to be kind of, to have some counterpunch. And Daigle hit the nail on the head. My guy, Cleve TA from Cleveland, if you guys follow him, he pulled up in his database, like since 2000, this has only happened 6 times where a team this late in the year has had this short of rest, and they only covered like 1 of 5 times. There were 1 and 5 against the spread. So could be a red flag spot too, like Daigle said. That the kind of rest disadvantage going on here, kind of unprecedented. So we'll see if it kind of makes an impact. The Jags did get their guys out of the game last week, but that does that end up paying, in here at all? Does it play at all? Because it's a great matchup for the Jags passing game, and we've seen this play out, right? Like, we've seen everything play out against the Titans, right? Every passing game that they faced, we know that they're just an extreme, pass funnel. They should give up some runs to Travis Etienne. They should try it. Like, let him run for 5 or 6 yards a couple times, right? Like, just to slow it down, because when these teams played a few weeks ago, he had 17 carries for 32 yards. The Jaguars did what every team did against the Titans. They're like, the hell with this. We're just going to wing it around the yard. And Trevor Lawrence went absolutely nuclear, and he was the QB1 overall that week. He threw for 307 yards, 3 touchdowns. He ran for a touchdown. He stiff-armed some linebacker into the dirt. Everyone got there. Evan Ingram had like the most career points he's ever scored. Zay Jones went nuts, even though he tried to drop 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, yeah, it's just play him as you got him in the passing game here. That's what the Titans have become, and it's what we're not going to get off the boat. We've done it for 17 weeks. Why get off on 18?
This is also why Travis Etienne, why I thought, Rich, you were going to DM us a screenshot of a bink, because you mentioned Etienne, Amari Cooper with Deshaun Watson, Mike Evans. Like, how did you not win everything last week? That's what I was curious about.
Yeah, tight end, definitely bricked a wide receiver spot too. So yeah, a lot of DJ Shark as like my wide receiver of du jour of punting, and Al Lazard, who was fine.
Well, it's time to go back. Don't worry.
No Brock Wright?
No Brock Wright, man. I mean, good luck getting that Detroit tight end. Can we just play Detroit tight end as a position? Maybe.
People played Shane Zylstra for minimum last week too. Yeah, they definitely chased it, and it didn't matter whatsoever.
Did you see the stat I tweeted about them earlier?
What's that?
So the Lions tight ends outside of the 10-yard line only have an 11% target share since they traded TJ Hockenson. It's 31st in the NFL, their target tags, but inside the 10-yard line, it's 48%, the third highest. Like, they're just dialing up scheme plays to these vagabonds that people forget about. They're like, you remember we have these guys. They're just, because all their touchdowns are like schemed up touchdowns. It's not like Jared Goff's like it's like a 4th read. Like, they're dialing up plays for these guys down there.
Do you think it's real, by the way? I was kind of mentioning the Kirk thing, like 91 yards to trigger a $500,000 bonus. Like, we all saw the clip of Gronk in Brady's ear, like telling him, like, look, I need one more for $1 million. And that's Gronk. Gronk's got Gronk money. Kirk, he's doing fine too, but he doesn't have Gronk money. He's got to be a year. Lawrence, it's a close game. They want to win the game more than anything else. But Does that stuff matter, or is that just like conversation for us, John?
Oh, it matters, I think, team to team. It really just depends how far you are away. Like, I think the biggest one we'll be questioning on Sunday is Justin Jefferson. Can he get
right?
What's the number, like 173 now?
Yeah.
Since they failed miserably against the Packers. Like,
and Nathan Peterman ain't gonna help us out.
Yeah, so we're questioning those. But honestly, like we talked about it as well behind the scenes, that the Bucs, in having historically chased, even going back the last 2 years, Gronk and Evans, Godwin, there was I think Gio Bernard incentive somewhere in there a couple of years ago as well. Like, Tom Brady purposely makes sure his guys gets those contract bonuses. So some teams, they are guaranteed to do so. Others will just have to see. And we are working under, a Doug Peterson, a new Trevor Lawrence era. So I think that's close enough to, in a competitive game where we shouldn't be asking about the incentives. We just think they can get there anyhow because the matchup. But maybe they're far enough to where we question it.
Yeah, Zay, the R198 for Zay, 98 yards for $500,000, 2 catches for $250. I imagine he gets that. I hope he gets that. If he doesn't, you're basically dead anyway.
Those aren't cheap yardage totals, though, to be fair.
No. It's not a gimme at all. And Jefferson, I thought Jefferson was like 194. Is it one? You said it was 170 something? I thought it was more than that.
Maybe it still is. I may have got the number wrong.
And like, isn't there a chance?
It's close to 200 though.
Okay.
Like, he's got to put up. He's got to flirt with like a huge number.
And we'll talk about that. But
he did have 154 when they played earlier in the year? So,
but they're kind of locked in, aren't they? Isn't Minnesota basically mostly locked in?
Yeah, they need losses from the 49ers and the 49ers. And like, the Bears that do anything, right?
To move the ball. Yeah.
Like, I mean, if the Vikings are up 21-0 or something, and like we're cruising through the second quarter, like, are they really going to try to jam a bunch of targets? Like, what if he got hurt, man? Like, going for a record, like.
He's also like 24. If he doesn't get it this year, he'll get it next year. Whatever. It's fine. The same thing with Fields. Like, people keep talking about.
If it was a competitive game, I'd understand, right? Like, but if they're like up against this Peterman, the Bears are trying to get because they know the Texans are dying to fuck this up. Like, they know, like, the Texans could outright beat the Colts. Like, no one would even be blown away because the Texans have been trying to win games this last month. They tried to beat the Cowboys. They tried to beat the Chiefs. They did beat the Titans. The Bears are like, hold on, Justin Fields, you just gotta hold out. We're gonna hold you out, and we're gonna see if the Texans actually give us a shot here at this number 1 pick.
I'm in this a survivor pool, and it's a fun concept. You got to play every single team throughout the season once, right? And there's some weeks to get it, so you got to play two teams some weeks. And I have the Colts. I'm in first place, and I got the Colts and Sam Ellinger against Houston. So I don't know if I guess if you're going to play the Colts, this is one of the better spots to have them, but we'll see. Hopefully they hang on. That's going to be a miserable game. Davis Mills versus Sam Ellinger. And that's the battle for number 1 you're talking about, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Thoughts as far as Tennessee? Like, is Josh Dobbs somebody we can consider playing when, Mahomes, the great Jarrett Stidham, Trevor Lawrence, are the other options here, John? I mean, Henry, of course, is going to be popular. They're going to want to grind it with him as much as possible, I would imagine, until if they are behind, change of plans to some degree. But yeah, Tennessee's offense. What's your take as far as the Titans?
I never try to say no to the cheapy quarterback on short slates, but at the same time, it is Patrick Mahomes, who is not really failing in his own right. I mean, we'll get there in a minute, but it's more about just him and the Chiefs stacks being so expensive that it then becomes hard to fit everyone else in a 10 to 13 game slate with them. That's not the case here in a 2-gamer. So I can imagine that people probably try to squeeze Trevor Lawrence. They'll box score hunt to the Titans, the same results that Rich mentioned earlier, and get those double stacks in with Titans run backs. Everyone tries to play Chig and Burks anytime they get a chance to. So that's probably the more popular option. But yeah, I do even lean towards a Trevor Lawrence stack and Derrick Henry. I mean, dude, the last 3 games before he even had to be rested, and he should have been playing these. Well, he should have been playing these games, but he was clearly hampered. But Derrick Henry is still handling 91% of the Titans' backfield touches without Dontrell Hilliard, who's still on IR. So, yeah, I still think it's just an amazing every touch spot coming off rest for Derrick Henry, where we could even see him involved in the passing game more, as we saw the week prior to him being benched for rest.
Rich, what do you want to add as far as the Titans?
Yeah, I mean, listen, at least like Dobbs has like the spade of like, could you run into on a short slate, like him running around, right? Like, could you luck box into like a 20-yard rushing touchdown or something? Something along those lines. That still exists in the range of outcomes. But yeah, listen, we know the game plan. They're going to try to give Derrick Henry 50 touches if they could in this game. Like if there's no maybe cap with him getting the rest that he had. He's gone over 100 yards of scrimmage in 11 of his past 13 games. It's interesting is when these teams played last time, the Titans got out of the gates quick. Like they scored their first 2 drives. The big dog had 96 yards in the first quarter, and then he just had 6 carries for 25 yards the rest of the game because they got kind of game scripted out. He also had 2 fumbles. He's had some fumbling issues here down the stretch, but we know like they are going to give him the football as much as they can.
That was the game. The Titans had 4 turnovers too, so like that's a big swing of things. That if it doesn't happen, we could see a completely different game.
Do you want to say what's up to those of us that are watching us live on the YouTube? Hit that like button, subscribe. Lots of love here for Rich. Chris is saying thanks for the Mike Evans call. Several people. Big Grip is shouting out the Evans call. And then Ryan's, yes.
The 5% that played him showed up to the show to thank Rich.
Thank you, guys. Happy New Year. Happy New Year's to all. All 6 of the people.
I want to do the Curb Your Enthusiasm bit. Can we still do Happy New Year? It's the 4th. It's kind of in the gray area. It's like
I can't help but think about that bit now.
Well, that was New Year's Day when he did all that. So yeah. I'm counting it as, the Mike Evans New Year. With the Chinese calendar, it's the year of the Evans.
Ryan just wants to say, nice shirt, Daigle. Daigle, what's on your shirt? I can't wait.
It is our good friend, Ryan McDowell, Dynasty League Football.
There you go. Represent. And Big Grip is giving me props for Parkinson. I kind of said it half jokingly for the record. I did play him on the afternoon slate. I had a nice lineup with Parkinson on the afternoon slate.
Yeah, run him back this week.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm running him back. We'll see.
Dean, run him back.
It's like roulette. You hit on roulette, get off that table, man. You do not. The longer you stick around.
Every color is red in week 18. I mean, look at these plays. Just play them.
He's a tight end. Run him back.
Yeah.
Stidham is green. Like, it's a wild card. Who knows what Jared Stidham's going to bring?
Oh, yeah. He's the double zeros, baby. Yeah.
Is there a bigger racket? Like we're making a lot of money, but we're not making too much money. How do we make more money? Oh, I got it. Double zero. Like, are you serious? You already got the zero. Now we need 2 whammies out there. All right. Jared Stidham. Who wants to give the take for Jared Stidham against the Chiefs?
Yeah, I think he's fun, man. I think he's fun. I think he's definitely in play. Are we going to get the run out like we had to the degree we had last week? Probably not, but he came in here and hucked it around, man. 10.7 yards per pass attempt, led all passers in week 17. He was 5th in air yards per pass attempt. 24% of his throws were 20 yards or further downfield. It was the highest rate in the league. Like he was out here like his mom's spaghetti, man. I got one shot. I'm out here winging it. And they got good players. Like that's the thing. Like it's not like, maybe a situation when we try to stump for Sam Howell later. He's actually got some good receivers too, but Stidham has really viable playmakers. I mean, Darren Waller's back. He scored a touchdown the first drive. He had another nice slot fade to Darren Waller later. And Devontae Adams still turns out he's really good at football too as well. Because that's a no-joke defense that they absolutely shredded. So we know they're going to have to score points. The Chiefs can try to lock in the 1 seed or depending what happens with this game from Monday night. So we know the Chiefs are going to go all out. This total got bumped up early too. I think it opened at 50 and it's already at 52.5. So we know people are on it. So there's definitely pushback here. And then the Chiefs have been a team we've targeted all year. I mean, they're 31st in passing points allowed per game. They've allowed the highest touchdown rate to opposing passers in the NFL. The ghost of Russell Wilson has gotten them twice too. Why not? Right? Like honestly, like it's like Daigle said, the thing with Mahomes is, he's hard to stack because the player you want to stack him most with kind of cripples you, even on a small slate. And then the other guys are really kind of a whack-a-mole situation, whereas we know, like Stidham, you can play with Devontae Adams, right? And then maybe fit Kelsey in coming back because of the money you save. So I think Stidham's live.
Do you have a favorite pairing? All things considered, like obviously if you have the salary, it's Adams, but considering everything, or have you dug into the slate? Have you built the lineup yet? Or what does your instinct say as far as the best pairing with Stidham?
No, but I would think that you would probably try to use something like Stidham Adams. And then that's how you get to Kelsey, although Adams is going to probably eat that up. But if there's a way to do it, that's the way I think you try to get there.
Anything you add, John, by all means, go for it. Otherwise, jump over to Kansas City.
Yeah, It's pretty much as Rich mentioned for Stidham. I mean, he even averaged 8.5 yards per attempt under pressure. The highest ADOT in the league last week as well. That's not the quarterback that threw for 2 touchdowns in 8 games prior to Sunday. Like, he threw 3 touchdowns this game. I don't know who the hell that person was, but remember, that's like arguably the best defense in the league with the player who in the same game made his case, put a stamp on his Defensive Player of the Year nomination for Nick Bosa, and yet Jared Stidham still may have been the best player in that game. Again, I don't know what the hell happened, but also Darren Waller, I still think is live here. Even, as a short slate, if you want to flex him out and put Travis Kelce in your tight end too, more than fair with Jared Stidham as a unique way to stack that game. So that's kind of the ways I'm thinking about playing it. Josh Jacobs was a DMP Wednesday, but as we know, they probably just resting him, knowing that they're likely to give him every single touch. And then for the Chiefs,
he's leading in rushing yards, so I think they'll try to get him some.
And then on the other side for the Chiefs, it's just interesting. What also makes the Raiders and Stidham interesting is that Vegas, and rightfully so, keeps giving the Chiefs these 31-point team totals, keeps making them double-digit nearly favorites, but they're 1-7-1 against the spread in their last 9 games. Like, they're just, although they're scoring the ball, they're literally not covering, and thus teams are just keep on sticking around and keep matching the Chiefs point for point. That's why we're also attacking their defense every week. So, of course, the Raiders can keep it close and keep it live. Like, they didn't give up last week. They obviously fought for Josh McDaniel into overtime, so I wouldn't think they give up in, the second time they see an opponent who's actually competing for a playoff spot here.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders are bad, and they've blown a lot of leads. But you look at, their metrics over the course of the season, they've largely been a good offense, and they played close games, right? And they did it the first time these teams played. It was all the way down to the end of the game where the Chiefs had pulled it out by 1 point. Are we going to get that run out? Probably not, but I think they'll score points here.
Jacobs, you said, leading the league. I had to check. He's up by 150 yards on the next guy.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Chubb can get it if you just want to sit on Nick Chubb not getting it. That he's gonna get a chance to break some long runs. So I think he'll need to tack on an extra 50.
I thought Jacobs' season was over in the Hall of Fame game when he played one too many series.
A lot of people did, man.
But yeah, and pending free agent, they didn't extend him before the season. New regime. A lot of people.
The only bummer is Matt Harmon brought this up on a podcast I was on them. This feels like DeMarco Murray all over again, right? They're just because he's not under contract next year. It feels like they are just draining him.
Every time someone brings up the fact where Josh Jacobs was drafted earlier this year as well, you also have to remind them that the people that had him in the playoffs and even the best ball playoffs probably didn't advance to the next round. So they got there, they got to sweat it out, but then he put up an all-timer just like Ramondre and knocked teams out single-handedly.
John, your favorite receiver on Kansas City? Kadarius Toney seems to be getting more work, or at least whenever he's out there, he's getting a heavy usage, right? Theoretically, I think they probably want to work him up to be one of the guys in the playoffs, more so than Mecole Hardman and Watson and Moore. I think that to me makes sense. Does that make sense to you?
We're also watching injuries here because Mecole Hardman, I believe, was activated from IR today. And so even if he plays, you have to question how much he's immediately worked back in, since the way they're using him is essentially how they used Mecole Hardman. Sky Moore also suffered a hand injury, exited that past game. I did not see his practice report today. But overall, now we have last week, 71 receiving yards on only a 32% route rate. So you would think that if Toney is going to suddenly walk into this more voluminous role because they can't bring Hardman back at full strength, then he would be an option, especially on a 2-game slate. So I can certainly see a scenario where we get sneaky with him as a cheaper option on a short slate.
Yeah, and Hardman basically he had the touchdown baton before McKinnon did. So, his impact could also have a trickle down to how they've used McKinnon in the red zone, right? Because that's when McKinnon's spike coincided exactly when Hardman exited. So, we'll see. Maybe we'll get a new guy for the playoffs for the Chiefs that just scores a touchdown every game.
Is McKinnon right now? Is he in the Aaron Paul, the Justin Pickman zone? If I can't keep getting away with it, or
5 straight games with a receiving touchdown, first running back in league history to do that. It sounds like that's the Aaron Paul zone.
1 touchdown for every 5 touches his last 2 games as well.
And he hasn't had any really significant touches the last 2 weeks.
No.
Hey.
Give me the hottest take you can come up with, or your boldest take. Is somebody going to take the biggest stand on here, John, that like you think in comparison to the field? Feel free to be as ambitious as you want to be, and it's hard to say what ownership's going to be now on Wednesday night. But your general feel. Who do you think you're going to have a stronger stand on as opposed to everybody else?
Mahomes. No. I want to play Stidham. Stidham double stacks with some weird bring back like McKinnon and Tony onslaughting that game with Derrick Henry. And I think I like Zay Jones over Christian Kirk right now.
All right. Rich, see that and raise it.
No, I'm also Team Zay over Kirk for that particular matchup. I will say, too, don't forget like Hunter Renfrow lives, too. And Chiefs have been getting smoked by slot receivers. He's going to be out there. He will be exercising. So if you're looking for a guy that's out there exercising, like we kind of talked about, like a lot of people are going to go back to those Jaguars guys. Like they're going to be pretty heavily owned.
Yeah. Do you like anybody beyond Kirk and Jones? So Zay Jones, can Mark all of a sudden do something, or Agnew, or is that asking?
They're not really playing a lot as a thing, so you kind of really got to kind of try to luck box into something. I mean, Marr from the matchup stance, like where the Titans get beat, makes a lot of sense. It's just he's not playing like a ton of snaps, and they're peppering in Agnew a little bit, so it's just kind of whack-a-mole, right? Like you're just guessing.
They haven't allowed the Titans a running back to reach 60 yards since week 3. That was Josh Jacobs.
It's a pretty good tight end slate considering it's just 2 games with Ingram.
It
Waller,
is Hooper better than most 13 games.
Yeah, Hooper had his season high of yardage against the Jags in this game. The Jags defense isn't good either. That's the other thing.
Maybe 2 tight ends is like something that you can consider. I have not messed with the lineup, I'll be honest, but just kind of like thinking it, just kind of staring at the slate. But all right, that was just the appetizer. The main course, of course, is the 13 gamer. No team or no total is higher on this 13 gamer than 43.5. 43.5 is the highest total on the board. And Nathan Peterman's a quarterback in that game. What are we talking about? That's insanity. Yeah, Rich, I mean, let's just give our favorite plays position by position. Or if you have any general thoughts before we're going to dive in on that, of course, stay tuned to the news flow. That's uber. It's always important, but it's definitely important more so this week than every other week. Also, 4:00 games, motivation can change based upon what's happening in the 1:00 games.
There's one of those, yeah.
And FanDuel wanted us to keep talking about the Lions because they were flexed to Sunday night, and FanDuel's like, screw it. People love playing the Lions. They're going to be their main slate. It's going old school. If you guys are playing DFS long enough, you recall.
Yep.
It used to go
before showdown slates.
Yeah, pre-showdown, they would just go to they would go to Monday night, and then they went to Sunday night. People were very upset, by the way. Like they wanted their Monday night and Sunday night sweats, but I actually like the change.
Which you can still play those slates. People forget those slates still exist.
And the edge is still had and just simply not playing the Thursday night players and using late swap, and yet people still play all the Thursday night players in those slates.
Well, I gotta watch it used to be the joke used to be the Jags, but now the Jags aren't a joke DFS wise. Who's the team that's on Thursday night and doesn't score any points?
Oh, Colts or somebody, yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
But people be like, yep, I got to jam Alec Pearson. There's no way I'm watching this game unless I get Alec Pearson in the lineup.
I'm not going to watch CSI Miami or whatever else is on. All right, John, what do you have? A general overview? Is there anything that stands out that you think is worth pointing out before we kind of give our position by position stuff?
I think we're in a situation where we're questioning how much some starters will play. Also, I look at the top like a Josh Allen against the Patriots defense, which we try and continue attacking with above average quarterbacks. If we are to get there, since the Patriots are playing for their lives and the Bills maybe playing for, it depends what happens with the Chiefs-Raiders game, but the Bills still have a chance to at least tie the Chiefs, and so they could be playing that game as well. Jalen Hurts, we don't know his status just yet, and Vegas thinks he's very clearly healthy. The line was up to 14 points. I think you have to line shot for it. I believe it's 12.5 at some spots now. But Brian Dable still coach of the year. He's still adamant they're going to play his starters. I and Vegas do not think so. But if Jalen Hurts is even somewhat hurt knowing the Eagles are still going out for number 1 seed, I think it is a sneaky spot to potentially stack Hurts here as well at the top. And other than that, we're just kind of peering around, getting cheap quarterbacks in. There's nothing to hide here. It's an ugly slate. It's really, really ugly, but also makes it fun if you're paying attention and locked in through Sunday morning.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get Ty God. We still might. We'll see. Stay tuned. I thought it was going to be like 4K, 5-1 on DK, which is still interesting. But he was always a fun play back in the day, unless, of course, he sees the doctor right before the kickoff, and we don't want to talk about that. And the Chargers, I think it was the Chargers.
It was.
Oh, my gosh. What a disaster that was. But yeah, 14-point line is massive. Like, Philadelphia wants to win, but, how much they actually have to do. It seems weird.
You got to build. You got to build a 14-point cover. You can't just cover 14 points by not scoring 14 points.
Rich, you have anything that's worth pointing out before we're going to dive in and just kind of give our favorite plays by position?
Yeah, there's just a couple of things to monitor. Obviously, even if the teams say these guys are going to dress like Daboll, how much does that mean they're going to play, though, too? I would be pretty floored if Saquon Barkley plays. He leads the NFL in snaps played. I would find it pretty shocking that they put him out there. And they've already tried, if you look at the course of the last month, when they've had opportunities to kind of alleviate Saquon's workload, they have taken advantage of those spots. So maybe we get a Gary Brightwell game. The problem with that, though, if you're chasing a spot like Gary Brightwell, is he's going to be playing with potentially backups against the team playing for the number 1 seed in the NFL that has a dominant defense, right? So what's the run out? I think we're more looking at a guy like Jordan Mason, right? Christian McCaffrey is dealing with this mid-ankle sprain. They activated Elijah Mitchell. Does that mean Elijah Mitchell is going to play? We don't know. Obviously, we would love to get a situation where just Jordan Mason is the guy for Week 18, or is going to basically, if CMC dresses, we know he's not going to play a lot. So you definitely want to see if CMC practices in full, I think, the rest of the week. Because Jordan Mason's been hot. He has a small sample, but he's averaging 6.6 yards per carry. 29% of his carries have gone for a first down or touchdown. Running back league average is 22%. So he'd be a guy I definitely would be kind of peering through the news and notes on, trying to get some added in insight onto what exactly the 49ers might do with Christian McCaffrey this week, because they're another team that's a huge favorite. They need to win this game to stay at the 2 seed, which gets 2 home games minimum. You have to win the first game home you get there, but you would get 2 home games. And they flooded the Arizona last time they played. Arizona is just kicking the can here. Hopkins probably won't play. Marquise Brown was holding his arm after the game. James Conner got banged up. We talked about last week. We were why are they giving James Conner all these carries? Yes. Right. And
here we are.
Here it is again. Right. For no reason. So Arizona's just finishing this thing out, man. They're on the road in San Francisco. San Francisco, definitely I doubt has a repeat of what happened last week where they let Jarrett Stidham and a lot better playmakers, make plays around them. So I definitely want to follow what's going on with Jordan Mason.
So there was a note that Brown supposedly is going to play Week 18, which seems a little odd. The Connor thing, give the guy a break, give him a reprieve. It's been a long season for him. And the other thing is, San Francisco can move up theoretically if they win and Philadelphia wins. They're both playing 4 o'clock, but Philadelphia, we'll see. They're probably not going to lose to the Giants, 14-point favorites. And by the way, you mentioned Mason. Is he clearly way ahead? I know people talk about this guy a lot in preseason. TDP, is it clearly Mason over TDP?
TDP's been dust, man.
Okay, so that will be the guy.
That one game a couple weeks ago where they gave him 9 carries,
especially because Mitchell's coming back for the playoffs. So they it's not Mason's even needed then.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, because I just want to make sure, because I know he was a buzz player months ago, right? Quarterbacks, Rich, give me some quarterbacks, or maybe just one that you like this week. How many? Give me your long list.
Daigle talked to. I think pretty clearly, if you have a cash guy, you would just go Josh Allen, right? It's a must-win game. There's no way to really know how the Bills are gonna handle what's happened this week. Is it extra motivation? Do they come out flat? But we do know they need to win this game. It is a spot where they've, historically performed well. Over the past 3 times these teams have played since the Wind game. Josh Allen has thrown 10 touchdowns and no interceptions against the Patriots. It's a great spot for Diggs too as a run back. You talked about the motivation factor. Geno Smith threw for a season high 370 yards when he last faced the Rams earlier in the season. They have to win. They play early, or they play before the Lions do. So, if they win that game, they're in. So yeah, Geno Smith I'd be looking at. And then, listen, I don't know how cute. I don't know if we need to get to Sam Howell this week, but I'm interested in Sam Howell. He was my QB2 in this draft class. He is a very intriguing prospect. He was 93rd percentile for all prospects since 2000 in career yards per pass attempt coming out of college, 88th percentile in touchdown to interception rate. He ran for 830 yards and 11 touchdowns his last year at North Carolina. And he's throwing to pretty good receiving core against the Dallas team that even last Thursday gave up some chunk plays to Josh Dobbs and Treylon Burks. And, they give up eight yards per pass to Davis Mills 3 weeks ago. Trevor Lawrence and Gardner Minshew got them for QB1 games. I don't think, Howell's going to flirt with a QB1 performance, but he, I believe, is stone min on both sites.
Okay.
And I think he's pretty interesting because he's going to get the full run out now. So, hey,
what was that nonsense that they were saying they're going to play Heineke? But what was that? Why?
Listen, man, I can't tell you what Ron Rivera didn't know things last week. There's a lot. They went to Carson Wentz.
It sucks because Rivera's he is a leader of men. He's a guy that turned around an entire locker room too. He was that's with Carolina too. He's a good person and people follow him to war. But we've now seen 2 weeks worth of what the hell's going on in Washington incidents.
Yeah. How do you even put who didn't believe? Ray Charles saw that outcome coming last week when you went back to Carson Wentz. I hammered Brown's money line last week.
I do want to second some support for Sam Howell, though, because he finished his career with 92 passing touchdowns in 3 or fewer seasons in the ACC. For reference, Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence had fewer with 90 in the same amount of time. Sam Howell could be very good.
You ready for the player profiler comp for Sam Howell?
I actually don't know it yet.
He played last week.
Is
it Jared?
He's got the very same first name as Sam Howell.
Darnold?
Sam Darnold is the best comparable according to Player Profiler.
Sam Darnold was a top 12 quarterback last week.
We'll take it.
Yeah. I don't even know how much. Is there one player that we absolutely this is the guy we want because he's the nuts and he's fully motivated and that's that? It's not necessarily Allen, a quarterback, if you have it, sure. I'm trying to think as far as the entire slate. Maybe we'll move on and figure it out as far as running back. But
I think definitely there's some top plays. Like I said, I think Allen and Diggs are definitely guys to pay up for. And we don't know how much salary we're going to need to save or what really gets opened up. That's why I say Howell, you might not even need that salary, right? You could probably easily get Josh Allen in with really good players this week. I would say pretty obvious. I would say Najee Harris definitely stands out as a guy who's getting just a massive workload. We know they have to win and they need help to get in. He's facing a Cleveland team that we have targeted roughly the entire year on the ground. They're a home favorite, although I think that's might be a stretch as well. We have to go back to this Cleveland money line. But Najee Harris looks like a guy that stands out, that looks like a really good bang for your buck, motivation, everything lines up.
I will add on top of that too, because Najee Harris is on my list of players. He's also been I can't talk shit on him for the first half of the year and then not have his back the second half of the year when maybe that foot injury did heal over the bye. And from week 10 on, he's been top 5 in success rate and EPA per play. He's added 30 yards per game, to his box score since the bye. And the Steelers are top 6 in run play rate. That's how you attack the Browns. It didn't work out for Brian Robinson, but before that, the Ravens averaged over 8 yards per carry. Joe Mixon total over 100 yards. Both Kamara and Taysom Hill rushed for touchdowns in that Tundra game. So I think it could be a very good game here for Najee Harris.
All right.
And then, like you said, on FanDuel, you're getting the gift of Packers-Lions because we know even if the Lions are eliminated, and it'll be a bummer if we get the reveal that they're eliminated before then. But we know they're going to play hard, right?
They'll play straight up, I think. I think they'll mostly play straight up. Detroit.
The Lions are going to play straight up, and there's a ton of cheap dudes in that. Daigle kind of hinted at both Lazard and Watson. We're getting this, man coverage based, Lions team. They play man coverage at the second highest rate in the NFL. And both of these Packers guys have just really wide splits against man coverage. The only wide receivers in the NFL to be targeted more against man coverage on a per route basis than Christian Watson this season are Tyreek Hill, Drake London, DK Metcalf, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's also third in the NFL in yards per route run against man coverage. So we did see last week he came back. He was limited. He only ran a route on 61% of dropbacks, but dude, he has shot at some big plays. I mean, he still had 130 air yards. They took money ball shots to him. So if he gets that route rate back up to where he was, like 85, 90% against this defense, huge upside. Lazard already had, 80 yards and a touchdown. These teams played earlier in the year. He's getting targeted on 27% of his routes against man coverage, only 16% against zone. He's played back-to-back man coverage heavy teams, and he's gotten good target counts. So both of those guys are really cheap and easy to put back. And like I said, FanDuel's giving you the gift of those guys on being just on the main slate.
And on the other side of that, the Packers are the only defense allowing over 10 yards per target to boundary receivers. So we can go right back to DJ Chark as an ancillary player here. And then the Packers, although they are Football Outsiders' number one defensive DVOA since week 10, they're still allowing explosive plays, in particular on the ground. Like they are third in rate of 10-plus yard runs since week 10, also allowing 5.4 yards per carry in that span. And DeAndre Swift looked like that dude last week. Like he looked like he was finally healed, that it all finally clicked in one game.
The Bears do that to a lot of dudes.
That they do that too, yes. But the Packers are equally bad on the ground, and we knew the Vikings weren't going to do that. The Vikings didn't do anything, in fact. But like the Lions, if you do let them just out physicality you, they will. They did that against the Bears. So maybe like we do get some good splits here for Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift as well.
I would still go back to that damn game where Miles Sanders did absolutely nothing against the Bears, and I was so heavy. It's like, what the hell? Because like the next week the Bills run for like 300 yards on the Bears, and then like the weekend last week, dude, Jamal Williams hadn't run for more than 4 yards per carry in a game since like week 5, and he rushes for like $144, and he's excited to go home and play Pokemon. The Miles Sanders absolutely did nothing, just bricked that game.
I think Jamal had his career longest run ever in that game as well. And also Green Bay fully incentivized. And forget Detroit, like they can be potentially incentivized, but Green Bay is in winning, they're in, right? That's it.
Winning,
they're in. So there's full incentive for the Green Bay side no matter what.
And I do think even if the Rams beat the Seahawks, it's like Rich said, it is a Dan Campbell team. Like if it's a lie, you fight on this lie. They will spin the narrative that if we can't go to the playoffs, you aren't going to the playoffs, and they'll come out and try to kick ass.
Yeah, you have a situation like Goff. Like Goff is really trying to cement that like he belongs like another year or what, you know what I mean? Like because they're gonna have a high draft pick via the Rams, and like Goff's been awesome the back half of the year, and like he's definitely not gonna lay down. Like he's gonna keep trying to. This might be his last shot, right? Like he's not trying to concede any ground. So yeah. For sure, man. I think we see this game play out. It just stinks from a Lions player perspective and a consumer perspective that we may know that they are eliminated beforehand.
Yeah, the Lions need Seattle to lose. Seattle plays against the Rams, so they're probably not going to lose. We'll see.
I mean, you never know. Baker's had a couple moments here in the sun since he got in the hands of McVay, and they did play with Wolford. It was in LA the last time they played, but they played Seattle to the wire.
Well, that's a segue to running back Cam Akers. By the way, I'm looking at, and this is super early, but like raw points, Cam Akers is like in our top running back points projection. It's just welcome to week 18, I suppose. Sure, all that volume is there. CMC's number one, and we don't even know how that's going to turn out. Again, stay tuned. Everything is fluid. John, some of your favorite running backs this week?
Yeah, you already mentioned Cam Akers. I think Ken Walker, I'm not playing them together. I do have a feeling, though, he would get steamed in this situation. Everyone, grasp for the lowest hanging fruit for the narratives, and they're thinking, okay, Seattle's more motivated, so they'll probably play Ken Walker. And he has a good salary. He just hangs around at that mid 6'4" range all year long on DK. But at the same time, if he's going to get steamed, then yes, we can just go ahead and pivot to the opposite game script and Cam Akers. Miles Sanders as well, I think is still a good play to go back to if you're not playing Jalen Hurts, knowing that they are just coming out with the same game plan they had before Hurts got injured, because they have to lock down the number 1 seed. And I don't think I have any cheapies for anyone, honestly. So hopefully, Rich, you can hand that to us.
Algier, I'd throw him in the conversation. He's still kind of splitting, though. It's just annoying, him and Patterson.
Yeah, that's the rub, right? Is that like he would just get the lion's share of the carries. We know he's going to smash because the run game's been good against everybody. The Bucs may eventually pull guys at some point.
Yeah.
he's probably popping in some early optimals too because of how he's played. I mean, he's still been an RB1 in 3 straight games. I mean, he still had 95 yards and a touchdown. It's just that Patterson still handled enough work and got a goal line carry inside the 5 carry to kind of be like a potential thorn for ceiling. I don't know what to do with Dalvin Cook. I just don't think the game, like, I'm just not really projecting the game to be like that close to where like they need to really put Dalvin Cook at risk in the second half of that game. And he's been flat out awful. In the team, it's been a top down from a team perspective. Like they just haven't been able to run, and they put they put their right tackle Brian O'Neill on IR. They're down. They've been constantly losing linemen. They're going to be a fun conversation next week. A lot of people, I think, are going to be betting against the Vikings next week. It's going to be interesting to see if we need to pivot and go the other way. But the last 2 weeks, the Bears have allowed 265 and 254 rushing yards. I mean, holy smokes, man. Maybe it's Alexander Madison, but like you have to get some more clarity if you like those things are all tough. Like those are all tournament-based guys. I think from cash, you're still looking at Najee, Daigle, said Kenneth Walker. Maybe some other guys like a Nick Chubb, who maybe is an outdoor shot at still like the rushing title if he has like a monster game.
The stupidest thing too is that Alexander Madison on DraftKings is not even like close to minimum. Like he's 51.
No, he never is.
He's 5,100. It's like how did we get here?
He probably should be though, because like if Cook's rolled out and he was 4K, it's just like we were playing with one less player because they're just going to lock put Madison.
I do like that they price the backup guys like that. I think all the handcuffs to the big backs should be like that. 'Cause we ran into it like earlier this year when we got the Tony Pollard midweek. Remember, like it was like, all right, well he's in every. Remember he was 90% in lineups. It was like, who's the 10% of people not playing him?
that might lead me to Jonathan Williams at 4,300 on DraftKings because we'll see Brian Robinson's status. He's clearly been banged up the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we don't even know what it means. Like, would Rachaad White play more, or is it just going to be Keyshawn Vaughn? Like, there's a lot of things we don't know. We talked about Gary Brightwell, like
Malik Davis could be interesting, maybe.
Right.
Josh Kelly is also interesting.
Yeah, and then you have the Josh Kelly. The interesting thing about that, though, is he might be a pure late swap guy, right? Like you catch people sleeping, because I think the Chargers have to prepare for those guys to at least start the game. Because if the Ravens win, the Ravens did beat the Bengals earlier in the year. These teams are very different spots than they were at that point. But if somehow the Ravens do win that game, then the Chargers will play their guys a little bit further. But if the Ravens lose that game, you give him a drive or two. Austin Eckler has had a massive workload this season. Like you might not even see him if that's the case. Then you get a lot of Josh Kelly. But that is even to a wild card. Like if they're already in, like would they save Josh Kelly, or just would this be like the sacrificial Isaiah Spiller game? Just go ahead.
Which is annoying since they just waived Sony Michel too. So it would have to only be Isaiah Spiller.
Mm-hmm. What's really important though is that 5 spot, they want to play the winner of Titans Jags as opposed to Bills.
I mean, be careful what you wish for. Chargers got smoked by the Jaguars earlier in the year.
Well, you'll take that or the Chiefs are behind door number 2 or the Bills.
I get it.
But if you could hand pick.
I mean, one of the worst things, like, have you ever been in a fantasy league where if you get like the top seed, you could pick who you play?
Yes.
Man, dude, like you think that you're doing the right thing, man. How many times does that come back?
Oh, it's it's a fun concept though, and
it is.
It gets people riled up. All right, let's talk about receiver. But I would just throw Zach Moss into the conversation. He might be interesting. I don't know. Against Houston in the dome, maybe they run him into the ground. Deion Jackson, is he still in the doghouse? Not sure.
Now that sports betting is legalized, Rich, Zach Moss is the perfect guy for you to bet to lead the league in rushing on Sunday, because he could. It's in his range of outcomes. He could also have 30 yards, though. But either way, that means you won't get limited because you're about to get limited soon.
I want to love Zach Moss, but like his last 2 matchups were like top down, like cream of the crop too, right? Like, you face the Giants and Chargers the last 2 weeks. Like every week we look who's facing the Giants and Chargers. And it's not his fault. He has averaged 5 yards per carry in both games, 4.9 and 5.4. So maybe it's just a game script issue, which who knows with Sam Ehlinger, if it is still a game script issue, but
that's the annoying thing. We talked about it last week a little bit too. We glossed over it here, but it's like Aaron Rodgers is yet again in an elite spot.
Yep.
And it doesn't even matter. Like he rushed for a touchdown last week. It still wasn't a top 12 quarterback. The dude just does not have a ceiling.
To be fair to Rodgers last week, they lost 2 possessions. Like you had a kickoff return touchdown.
Sure.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, because Keyshawn
yeah.
Nixon is awesome.
Yeah,
that's
you had a kickoff return touchdown and an interception return for a touchdown, and then he sat the whole fourth quarter.
Yeah.
But if he was
I will be
blackjack,
somewhat fair. He still was only averaging 6.5 yards per pass against the Vikings.
If he was playing blackjack with his DK points, he would not bust once the entire season. I'm pretty sure he's yet to hit over 21.
No. But the other thing too with Rodgers, if you're looking at it from like a FanDuel stance where he is in the main slate, we have so many quarterbacks now that we might not be able to play that it's kind of pushed him up by default.
Yeah.
Because like now even Herbert might have had something to play for, so now he goes down, right? Justin Fields is out. It's like you just keep knocking off these pegs, and it's like here's another rung. It's like because even if you have Rodgers at like QB 12 or like QB 13, now we're knocking off 2 more guys. It's like, well, shit, now he's QB 10, and we knock off another guy that he's quickly QB 9, right?
Last man standing is Aaron Rodgers.
Yep, that's kind of where we are this week.
Yeah, it's not about who you like; it's who you like dislike the least, or who's like less.
Sure.
Yeah. By the way, I did run some optimals in the fly. You're talking about it. Algier, and again, Wednesday night, do not hold us to this. Understand things are changing. But Algier, Miles Sanders, Cam Akers, Joe Mixon, Najee, Ramondre Stevenson, James Conner. Like those are the ones that are hitting optimals right now on a Wednesday night. But mostly Algier, Sanders, Akers, all above 50%. All right.
Even Corey Clement is pretty much priced up on DK and FanDuel too. Like it wouldn't be a situation you go to him either.
John, some wide receivers.
You can start with Rich. I lost my notes.
Rich,
I brought up the Packers guys. Like I said, Stephon Diggs stands out. I mean, he's another one of these guys. He, is due for a little bit of a slump buster. He did have 7 for 90 and a touchdown against the Patriots earlier. Had another shot at like a 50-yard touchdown that Allen just overthrew him on. But the Patriots play man coverage, the 6th highest rate in the league. Diggs is another one of these guys, just destroys man coverage. 32% target rate per route compared to 23% per route against zone. And we brought up the 2 Saints guys. Chris Olave needs 18 yards per 1,000. Obviously, it's not like a huge run out. He can get that on 1 catch. But this is the run back spot for Mike Evans, right? So with J.C. Horn out of the lineup, the Panthers have allowed a league-high 78% of boundary wide receiver targets to be completed this season. Even with Horn available since week 10, they've allowed 14.5 yards per catch to opposing boundary wideouts. That's 30th in the league. Shaheed has outscored Chris Olave in their past 3 games. He plays 74% of his snaps outside. We saw him get a nice double move on James Bradbury last week. Both of those guys, I think, are pretty live because we know the Saints are another team that probably aren't going to lay down. Like that's probably a game that'll largely be played straight up as well. That doesn't really mean anything. Because, Steve Wilks, those guys are really starting to champion to wanting to play for Steve Wilks and wanting him to come back as the head coach. And who knows what's going on with Dennis Allen if the players like him, but we know that they're going to try.
Whenever you say Steve Wilks, I think of the dude from Jerry Springer. I think his name is very similar. Like Steve Wilco or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what his last name was, but I do know Steve from Jerry Springer for sure.
I think his name is Steve Wilkos, if I'm not mistaken. Now I'm going to hit the Google.
Drake London's probably still in play too, because I think one of the Bucs we know that is going to sit is Carlton Davis. And we saw them have a really tough time last week on the outside. They still have Jamel Dean. He practiced limited today, but I think we have a pretty good idea that Carlton Davis, they're going to hold out another game. So you might get London running against a couple backups here. That's really it. Steve
Wilkos. There it is. Just had to confirm there. Now that's going to be in your head the rest of the time. Every time you say Steve Wilks, you're welcome. I apologize. I'm sorry. By the way, Drake London, the number 1 guy hitting optimals on a Wednesday night on DK. He's 4.9K. It makes sense, I suppose. Sure, why not? John, did you find your notes?
I did find my notes. Not many, though. If you're going down, I guess we could do Greg Dortch again because who doesn't like 15 yards on 10 targets? But at least we know. The slot for the 49ers is where we attack them. They're 6th in yards per target from that spot, and then we keep on playing the snip snap target share game for Terry McLaurin. But with Sam Howell under center, you would think just someone knows to feed their best receiver. So given the Cowboys' explosive play rate that Rich mentioned earlier, I'm down to run it back with a little Terry McLaurin and Logan Thomas, since we're about to talk about shitty tight ends too.
Is there a draft pedigree with Dortch? I don't know his history. Is he somebody they want to like develop like going forward? Is he part of their future plans?
No, he's been in the league for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a good prospect though. He was hyper productive in college. He just never really got a shot. He was like a special teamer because he's a smaller guy. But his production profile is massive. Like the dude was good in college.
I was looking at their available receivers. Is this AJ Green's like last game ever possibly in Arab Street?
Yeah, I guess so. Could be.
Maybe.
I don't know. Like I don't know what his plans are, but I feel like it might be the end. Who's Andre Bacalellia? Is that the character from The Sopranos? Bobby Bacala's
Is he on the practice squad?
I don't know. It's just a person. It looks like he caught a football last week. I think he had 2 targets.
He did in fact catch a football. Yes.
In a football.
That's week 18 in a nutshell. Did he catch a football last week?
All right. Tight ends. Rich, give us some tight end. We said how good the tight ends were in the 2-game slate. They must be amazing in the 13-game slate.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, Logan Thomas. Dean, I think you can roll your guy, Colby Parkinson, the big unit, Kevin Nash, big sexy. Roll him back, man. 7 targets last week. We don't know if Tyler Lockett's going to be 100%. He didn't leave the game because of his hand. He had a leg injury. So we don't really know what's going on extra there. The Rams have allowed a 9.1% touchdown rate to tight ends. Since their week 7 bye, they've allowed 7 touchdowns to tight ends. It's the most in the league. Noah Fant had one last time these teams played. Noah Fant's not that fun of a play, though. And listen, anytime the interim head coach brings up how athletic a guy looked and he didn't know he was on the team, maybe Alberto is the guy we need. I mean, it's just crazy that like a guy that was on the staff said that, like, oh wow, this guy looks like we have something here. Why is this guy been playing?
He knew who Alberto was a month ago. He's
sure, but yeah, he's throwing shade at the staff. But yeah, definitely, he's so cheap. Why not, right?
Yeah, it's hard to know what we're going to need salary wise when Sunday rolls.
But
around.
The Broncos are going to play all out. Like Russ is going to do the nano bubbles thing. Like they're not going to lay down. They're going to try to win.
Yeah, well, they don't have their picks anyway, right?
Yeah,
I'm guessing. Is their entire draft gone? And the picks that matter, I think, at least are gone. John, you want to sell us on any tight ends this week?
On FanDuel, not on DraftKings, since you can play a big Bob Tonyan, chase those touchdowns after he ran a season-high route on 85% of dropbacks last week, had 352-1, and then it's just a perfect spot. Lions allowing the 3rd most schedule-adjusted fantasy points to tight ends. Tyler Conklin has seen at least 7 targets in his last 3 starts with Mike White. Dolphins, the worst team against tight ends, the most schedule-adjusted fantasy points. And then if you're playing Bill stacks, Hunter Henry was on the field for literally every snap and around 100% of dropbacks without Jonnu Smith. It was the concussion protocol. Maybe Jonnu returns since that was his obligatory 1 week out. But if Jonnu Smith's out, you can just put Hunter Henry in your stacks.
And the Patriots, if they win, they beat the Bills. They make the playoffs, correct?
Yes, winning in. I mean, it's still that's the toughest winning in on the board, but winning in, correct?
Yeah, but they're going to try. They're going to do their best to try to
they could even lose and get in. Their scenario for their losses, they need the Dolphins, the Steelers, and the Titans to lose if they lose. And that actually is all pretty possible.
Yeah, the Dolphins need to win, and I think they need the Jets they need the Bills to beat the Patriots. Is that correct?
Yeah, we already seen Skylar Thompson versus the Jets once this year.
I mean, we saw the second half of Skylar Thompson last week.
Yeah, Skylar Thompson's pretty rough.
It was not go well.
You have seen the last 12 quarters of Mike White, though, too.
That's true.
He would have been much better off entering free agency, having a season a month ago.
There was clearly a reason he had to find 10 doctors, not 2. He had to find 10 doctors to approve him to return, and it was obvious why last week.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Anything else as far as a slate that's worth noting? Stay tuned.
Just keep your eyes on stuff. I'm sure we'll get a lot more surprises, especially on these teams that are eliminated. You start to find out some guys maybe have been playing a little more banged up than we had privy information to over the last few weeks, and like DeAndre Hopkins, right? Like shutting down. Like we'll see if anyone else gets shut down this week.
We're going to talk our movies in a second. Before we do that, we're going to talk some Thrive as well. If I happen to see an interesting question or two pop up in chat, there are some questions popping up. Some people actually listen to us live on a Wednesday night. We do appreciate that. Most listening to us, the next day or something like that. Thrive Fantasy, you do not have to worry about motivation. Well, individually, I suppose, to some degree. But join in on the fantasy prop action on this season at Thrive. It's an easy-to-play, no salary cap style contest. Revolves around over-under style player props. Each player prop has a fantasy score associated with that prop. The riskier the prop happens to be, the higher the fantasy score accrue. Rack up the most points for your share of the prize pool. Use the promo code GRINDERS, that's GRINDERS, when you sign up for a deposit bonus up to $250 as well as free tickets. Terms and conditions do apply. Check out RotoGrinders review page, Thrive Fantasy, in the description for more. As far as those tickets, if you're not aware, again, 100% deposit match up to $250. 2 free $20 contest tickets if you deposit between $100 and $499. If you want to splurge, deposit 500 smackers and more, you get 6 free $20 contest tickets. Let's give the people a couple winners. Producer Steve's got the picks up on the board. John, you get first selection. What's standing out for you?
We will take, I know we have to eat the 10 points on the juice, but that's fine. Let's go Josh Allen at the top, 260.5 over passing yards, more against the Patriots where they can attack them. And then go down, even though we should eat the Mac Jones, just go under the total. But let's go down. And I saw, keep going one more, a little more. Oh, I'll take Terry McLaurin. Take those, what is that, 40, 30 points juice? Yeah, for having a touchdown. If Heineken can find it for a 26% target share, maybe Sam Howell can, because Carson Wentz certainly could not.
By the way, Aaron Rodgers, 23.5. Oh, completions. Okay, I thought those fantasy points for a second.
No, trust me. I looked.
Just bet the under every time. You're in the shade there. What do you have, Rich? What's standing out for you?
He's completed 23 passes in one of his last 5 games.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Saquon under is probably the easiest thing you can get. You just hope he dresses. I don't know what the rule is for Thrive if a guy doesn't dress. But
I assume they got to play like a play. I would imagine. Right. So, yeah, check
that one probably won't count then.
FanDuel and DraftKings is 1 snap.
David Montgomery to not have a rushing touchdown has a different, like, you're just like, touchdowns aren't easy. Like, they just don't hand those out. No, especially when Nathan Peterman's your quarterback. And you're getting 30 points to the juice on that.
I like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's if you get like a pass interference in the end zone or something, you're probably boned, but definitely that. That also might be an interesting spot too, David Montgomery. Do they give any more look to the other guys because he's also a pending free agent? But you would have thought that they would have done that by now already if that was the case. What else we got? Not looking.
Chubb's going to make a run for the rushing title, 78.5. Can he get over that? Maybe.
Who is that?
Nick Chubb.
Yeah. I mean, he needs a lot of yards, but I mean, the Browns are definitely a team I think that are still playing hard to end the season. I mean, definitely in these parts, they're already back to fire their coach. No city has ever wanted to fire the head coach more like every 2 years than Cleveland. The best coach they've had and like they've basically been back and like gone. There's to get them out of here. What else we got? There's nothing else is really jumping.
You would think it'd be easier for week 18, but they're actually pretty tough lines this week.
I would say the Kenneth Walker over 71.5 with the 10-point plus on that. Rams are a tough run D, but we do figure that Seattle's going to, be a home favorite by a touchdown. They're going to grind him. He has had over 20 carries last 2 games too. And just one big run from Kenneth Walker can get you there. Yeah.
Daigle, your boy Silva can hedge with Jamal Williams, right? I think he's still live for his bet for Jamal Williams leading the league in touchdowns. Good luck to him.
And I know he irresponsibly bet that long shot, so he probably should get his ass to hedging right now. Yeah.
Well, is he safe?
Henry's down by 2, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Henry.
Is it 2? Is it 2 is the difference?
Yeah, because Jamal Williams had 1 last week, and then Henry rested, so it's now 2. So not necessarily safe. Good spot, but he'll know by Sunday night, but you pretty much have to get it in by Saturday.
Jalen Hurts is 2 behind.
I actually don't know if it's running backs only or not. It can't be. It has to be rushing touchdowns. So, yeah.
Interesting, yeah. Because I think he's safe on Eckler. I don't think we're going to see a lot of
because
Eckler.
He probably thought he was safe with Hurts injured, but Jamal Williams actually didn't separate himself at all the last month of the year.
That's a great bet, though, man. That's a great bet.
Well, the Lions stopped falling on the one like 19 times in the game, basically.
Right.
Funny how that happens.
Shane Zylstra turned into Jamal Williams.
Do check out Thrive Fantasy. Again, promo code Grinders, GRINDERS. When you sign up, deposit bonus up to $250, as well as those free tickets we talked about. Let's see. Rich, you won our movie bet last week. Do you want to put on hold what movie you're going to? So I don't know if we're going to show off your lineup. I know, look, you play who you tout. You touted Mike Evans. You threw Mike Evans at us, and we got smashed. I don't even think it was even close. I know my lineup was not very good. I stopped looking very, very quickly. Congratulations to you. And we have 2 movie reviews as well. What are we doing? We're doing the reviews first, and they're going to assign us something, Rich?
Sure. That sounds good to me.
The Longest Yard was the movie that John assigned the crew. Producer Steve will jump in a second as well. We watched, of course, the Adam Sandler version, not the, well, I guess Burt Reynolds is in both, but not the one he was featured in. I watched it last night on the Netflix. I have so many questions and observations. The cast is wild.
Hell yeah, that's the whole point.
You mentioned Kevin Nash and his estrogen. If you guys don't know who Kevin Nash is, he's the gift, the guy who's like coming back from injury out of nowhere in a wheelchair.
He did more than that, but yes, don't reduce him to a one meme.
Well, some people just don't know wrestling, But yeah, and then there's Goldberg and Austin, and there's Great Khali is also in it too. It's like 9'7". How are the guards favored? Tell someone to me. How are the guards like the clear favorite in that game?
Because they get to practice together. That's why. I mean, yes. The prisoners, the inmates had an NFL quarterback who did rig his last game, but still, like, they had to go find other players. But then, of course, the key point here is when Mike Irvin shows up with his own jersey, you knew the game was over. It's like, oh, buddy, like, Michael Irvin dug out his own jersey for this one.
Yeah. What was your take? I have more questions, by the way. I'll save them. I'm going to yield. But Rich, your thoughts? It was a rewatch for you, right? You've seen Longest Yard.
Yeah, I have seen it. I actually had seen it not that long ago too. I think
I didn't know that.
It was just on, and I just like stopped. It was one of those stop on it, like, well, shit, I haven't seen this in a while. And I think it was because it was in the final game, right? Like, the football stuff's not terrible. Like, it's shot pretty well. It's most of the guys are passable. Obviously, like, Nelly is a good athlete anyways. He's always playing like the rock and jock stuff and the celebrity softball game stuff. Do they still do rock and jock? Is that a thing still?
I've not turned on MTV in a good 15 years. I cannot tell you.
Those used to be amazing. Bring back rock and jock.
The cow in right field, the baseball, the basketball hoop raised to like 30 feet with the last minute of the quarter.
Yeah, you have the hot spots on the court. Bring that back, please. If we're bringing back all these other terrible things, like, and things we don't even want brought back, bring back rock and jock.
We had watched a lot of artistic and good movies. I just thought, I know the perfect time kill movie where I just think this is fun.
The idea that this would be on ESPN is amazing to me, though.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I understand the logistics, but if it was on ESPN, you would watch it. We would all sit down and watch it.
More than USFL.
Oh yeah, and I've watched.
Is there DFS? I bet DFS. Give me Megan. I'm gonna lock Megan and captain. Which, by the way, they had Chris Berman doing the announcing, right? And he got all his Bermanisms in. Whoop! He had to get that in there. And you remember that Megan? I'm convinced was named Megan just so Berman can do his Megan bit back in the day. If you guys are old enough, David Megan for the Giants. Like he got his line in there. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why Nelly was called Megan. The last play of the game. The very last play of the game, spoiler alert, the Convicts win. Sandler scores a touchdown. It's a touchback. He fumbles the ball. He didn't complete the play. He touches the pylon. The ball fumbles, and it touchbacks into the end zone. That ball should be a touchback on the 20-yard line. Actually, it was a 2-point conversion. Nonetheless, it was not good. I know that's a different ending. That's not the ending Hollywood wants. Isn't there somebody isn't there like Michael Irvin? Somebody on that set has to beg, look, that's not it. That they should not win. Is there no replay in this? Is there no credibility? I know the refs are rigged for the spoiler alert again. They were rigged for the the guards at first, but you guys remember the play, right? He did not complete the play. He fumbled the ball into the end zone, not to be a killjoy. But that was not a successful 2-point conversion. I'm sorry.
That is not what Caretaker had in mind. So no, they did not win. They won the game. Don't worry about those caveats. Did
we have to kill Chris Rock? I didn't know that. I forgot that happened. One more, by the way. Why was Courtney Cox with Adam Sandler? She's a good-looking, like successful, multi-millionaire businesswoman.
He's a quarterback.
And no, he was a quarterback. Now he's a pariah. He's
because quarterbacks have BDE, man. Like it's like confirmed. Like we know this.
The litter of whatever shipping at quarterbacks that are actually not cheating and shaving points, that are actually playing NFL games.
They love
Why
bad
is she with Adam Sandler?
BDE with bad boy energy.
Oh, there's plenty of quarterbacks with BDE.
Why was who was his wife or girlfriend in Uncut Gems? Why was she with him? Why was like Adina Menzel with him, his wife in that movie?
They weren't. Well? This Courtney Cox is super. Like she's a talented woman. She made a whole bunch of money in fashion or something like that. Why is she slumming with Sandler, who's a pariah? Like I didn't get that, but I'm nitpicking. I apologize.
I would like to think it was the NFL's pension program.
I don't know if producer Steve's jumping in here or not. If he has any thoughts regarding,
he has no thoughts on The Longest Yard.
I didn't get to rewatch it, but I've seen it 3 times before.
It's more than most people.
But no, I didn't get to rewatch it.
Do you remember the nonsense 2-point conversion that should have been a touchback?
No, I actually don't remember that. Now that you're saying that, I'm gonna have to check that out. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, it's still a better play than the annexation of Puerto Rico.
Yes.
That play wouldn't have got a single yard.
By the way, the chat says bring back Slam Ball. Do you guys remember Slam Ball by chance?
Oh, yeah, Slam Ball.
Oh, if you want to tear your ACL, play some Slam Ball. Pros versus Joes was another one.
Oh, yeah, Pros versus Joes. I forgot about that. That was fun.
Spike TV, I think. I feel like that's a Spike TV show.
Yeah.
Anything else? It's a good soundtrack. I'll give it that. It was fun. It's a fun watch. If you don't ask too many questions, you have a good time with it. The cast is like loaded, like Tracy Morgan, like just all the secondary pieces, like so much talent on that set.
We've watched worse Sandler movies.
What's that?
I said we've watched worse Sandler movies.
Yes. I mean, they should put that in the back of the DVD. You've watched.
You've watched. This one's not on Netflix.
All right, we got anything else here? Or are we moving on to the movie I assigned you guys?
Yeah, let's go to that one.
Yeah, which is totally different. It's Spanish language. I was on a whole kick of watching Spanish language movies on Netflix, and I like a good suspense movie too. And this kind of put it all together. You had to actually read and pay attention, unless you understand Spanish. I don't. I took 4 years, but forget most of it. The Invisible Guest.
As someone who's got 3 kids, I'm well mastered at the art of caption watching.
It's got a different title, right? Like Richie found it has a different title on was it Amazon or wherever you found it? Because I guess it's the Spanish title.
Was trying to sort for Invisible Guest, and you sent me the link, and I forgot what the Spanish title was, but yeah, I had to find it through the Spanish title. But it was on Amazon.
Like Comiendo or something like that. Yeah,
I was able to watch it.
Yeah. So who wants to go? I'm curious. I assume all you guys went in cold on this. I don't know, but Rich, give me the rundown. What was your experience? Did you enjoy this? Were you mad at me for making you read?
No, I'm not mad at you, but this one was probably the biggest miss we've had, at least for me. This movie watched a lot of David Fincher movies. It really wanted to be a David Fincher movie.
Okay.
To me, just absolutely nothing was plausible in this movie, though. Like, I just couldn't get past just anything. It was one of those movies that felt like someone came fresh out of like college writing class and like wrote. Where they're like, I got this great script and like got it taken off. But it is a well shot movie. I like the direction of it. I'm not mad I watched it, but this one was a pretty large miss for me.
All right. So Longest Yard, totally plausible.
Well, no, I mean, that's different. It's a different kind of mindset.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. John, what was your thoughts as far as The Invisible Guest?
Being one of Rich's best friends, I also watched this movie, and I said to myself 2 or 3 times, I was like, oh, Rich is going to hate that. Like, I know whenever something tries to be serious, not like Longest Yard. And then you have a scenario like planting a car tracker, just a normal person, like planting actual tracker, or a normal person like pushing a car in with someone, a living body. I was like, oh, Rich is just going to look past that.
So I don't like when non-criminals do like really criminal mastermind type shit. I'm like it's really a bugaboo. And then this movie doubled down, not only having the non-criminal do criminal shit, they had basically like a regular car factory worker turn into like the greatest detective in the history of like mankind. So like I was really trying, man. I was
when it was happening, 3 instances where I was like, nope, Rich is gonna hate that. No, I think the way it was shot, it was good. I think the surprise, spin at the end, like we knew something was coming. We knew the entire time it was going to be a shocking ending. I thought was good. So overall, that and like subtitles, I really don't mind subtitles at all. We can go down whatever direction with this contest. But I thought it was okay. It was fine.
All right.
I know that's not the review you were looking for.
Oh, no. I want the review to be your review, man. Like if you liked it, say you liked it. If you didn't like it, no worries. All good.
I watched it. I watched it the same weekend as Glass Onion, and it's like not the same, but also like Glass Onion is like a different way to do this correctly. And so I was just like, I don't know. I'm kind of let down by this one, but Glass Onion was fun. So
Glass Onion was great.
Not as fun as Glass Knife, but
I haven't watched it yet.
It's fun.
I won't give any spoilers.
It's fun.
Death in the Nile, by the way, if you like that kind of movie, I would throw that out there too. If you guys have not seen that on Hulu, if you like Glass Onion, you'll like Death in the Nile.
Steve, I want to get your opinion.
I liked this movie. Now that you guys are pointing that stuff out, I guess that makes sense. But
don't fall into us though. Like again, I've watched so many movies with Rich. I know his thoughts on the and whenever we saw Sideways, he even said he went first, and he said I knew Daigle was going to love this movie. Like it's just this is the way we view the world.
I'm so bad at this because like I'm a film major, and a lot of the times we had to like analyze that stuff, but I've been like that ruins movies for me now. Mm-hmm. So I try not to. So like I didn't really think about that, but I like this. This is a movie I could watch again with someone that hasn't seen it before. And if you're into murder mystery, I would definitely recommend it. The thing that's tough is the reading, like to recommend to someone else. Me, I didn't mind it at all. But I thought it was a good movie. I liked the twist. I liked the acting and the shots, just like you guys said. But now that I'm thinking about it, I guess like it was kind of crazy.
No, don't let us corrupt you. keep your young, vibrant mind. Dean, have you ever seen Pan's Labyrinth? Not Labyrinth, Pan's Labyrinth.
No, I know the director's really good, but Del Toro, right?
It's Guillermo del Toro, yeah.
Yeah, I love. Was it Alley? What's the one that he put out recently? Midnight Alley, Dark Alley.
Oh, I did see that as well.
That's an awesome movie.
Yeah. So it's subtitled as well. A Spanish story tale for adults is basically what a fairy tale for adults is what it is. I think you would like that. Yeah, Pan's Labyrinth. I think you would really like it. I have to stop playing Teddy Bridgewater to get there, but I think you would really like
it. Fair enough. All right. So, hey, Rich, did you question not like Breaking Bad? Like you kind of put the premise forth, like Walter White he became this great mastermind too. Obviously, spoilers. But like, did you play along with that, or did it kind of tilt you? Like you asked?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, especially late stage Walter White. Like turning into like basically like a drug kingpin. Gangster. There was a definite. That was a part of the show that definitely irked me.
That's always the same thing people say about Breaking Bad whenever they don't like it too, and I guess I see it.
I like Breaking Bad because I still like the show. I think there's enough ancillary stuff around it that is strong and really delivers. And obviously, he's so good as that character, that it's easy to get there. But I understand the pushback that show does get though too, because he does become a character.
I think it's pretty realistic, and you want to push back, talk about Ozark. Like Ozark is like Breaking Bad on steroids, right? As far as like
so Ozark was way worse for me. I did not vibe with Ozark at all. I did not vibe with it. Like definitely, especially after season 2. No, I did finish it, but after season 2, like it just became like it's like what can we top with the most outrageous situation, right? Like it didn't feel like any type of reality like whatsoever. Like these were like where I thought Breaking Bad did more realism. Like they slow played a lot more stuff where it was more shock value on Ozark.
I agree with that. I think after 2 seasons of Ozark, I was only watching it because I was already that far in. I actually did not actually care for the show anymore.
Okay, yeah, because I thought Breaking Bad, like I wasn't like trying to like, well, actually, I thought Breaking Bad did a really good job.
I love Breaking Bad.
Considering where it went, like as realistic as those scenarios could be. Like they took those in consideration and still made it like, a good show and drama and all that. But
Yeah.
I just thought it was worth throwing out there. I'm curious to get your take on that. Hey, you got a movie to assign us. Well, have you considered it? Have you whittled it down? Do you just have one?
Yeah. We'll roll here. Listen, I want to be a man of my word and play Mike Evans and Deshaun Watson. This is not the only lineup like this I played because I ran a naked Watson here, but I wanted to make sure I'm a man of my word because I vouched for him on the show that I played him against you guys with Travis Etienne. So the rest of the guys were trash. This one wasn't a catcher, but I had some hot Evans lineups that put up like around in the 170s on FanDuel. And we did really well with Cooper in them too. So we made out good here. This one of the lower scoring ones with Evans, but it was enough to take down you guys, and that's what really matters. So
not much of a struggle.
So my theme was, since it's week 18, was we were gonna do like this the world apocalypse, world's ending type movies. So might as well go with the theme. I had a theme last time. I will give you guys some options to choose from, and I will give you 2 solid options, and then I will give you 2 joke options where I can be a villain. My first option to give you guys would be Children of Men. If you haven't seen Children of Men,
God, it's so good.
It's got some of the most incredible shots, like 3 minutes. Like, it's yeah. Go ahead.
I've actually been wanting to watch that. I don't think I've watched it in a decade because it made me so depressed the first time, and I'm sure it's still as depressing. I do want to rewatch it though.
So the 2 good choices I give you are Children of Men and 12 Monkeys.
Okay.
And
I've never seen 12 Monkeys, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Bruce Willis? Or
we very rarely get a Dean hasn't seen movie.
Yeah, we're already leaning towards that one now.
Is that Brad Pitt or Bruce Willis? It's one of those 2, right?
Pitt, right?
It's Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Bruce Willis.
Oh, it's both. Okay, that's fine. There you
go. And then if you want me to be a villain, I'll give you The Happening or Waterworld.
Oh.
I think Waterworld may still be underrated. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's
The Happening. The Happening is legit. I think the worst movie ever made.
I went to theaters.
So what's happening?
The Happening.
What is happening in this movie?
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah. He's very hit or miss. It's
questionable. It's questionable whether anything is actually happening.
So if you want me to be, Dean has not seen 12 Monkeys. Steve, have you seen any of those movies?
None. So I'm good. I'm good with whatever.
Well,
but if Dean hasn't seen a movie, I think we should watch that.
12 Monkeys is like the best one. I think.
I mean,
it's better than Children of Men. Because that's
I will say, Steve, take the time to watch Children of Men.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we were going to 12 Monkeys. We, like they said, I don't think we've ever had one where Dean hasn't seen it.
If you've ever, Steve, I don't know if you read a lot. If you've ever read like The Road by Cormac McCarthy, that's my favorite author. It's very similar to that, where it's a very apocalyptic end of world type of scenario where everyone's just trying to pretty much save one person. It's good. Okay. Good movie.
All right.
Yeah. I remember it most just for like the couple scenes of like it's like what 3 minutes long, 4 minutes long, and
there's a one shot in there that stands out pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's. I mean, it's a good movie, but like just that's what kind of like the icing for me. Yeah,
it was when it looked like Clive Owen was going to be a real thing. Like they were really like Clive Owen was it for a little bit.
He did the movie with. Is that him with like when he's a prisoner with Jamie Foxx? That's Clive Owen, right? Or no, that's the bank robbing one.
Inside Man.
It's the bank Inside Man. That's it. Yep.
Inside Man, which is really
still
good.
Still good movie.
Denzel.
Yes, that's very good. What's the one? It's not Clive Owen, but like he's a European guy, like a Clive Owen knockoff, like Multiplicity, like the 4th version, where like Jamie Foxx is like the DA or something like that. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm sure this he wants to get in prison. And
you're not talking about Training Day, right?
No, now I have to know what it is. Somebody in chat tell me what this movie is.
Clive Owen knockoff. You're not talking about Colin Farrell.
No, it's someone. It's in that pool though. I don't think he's Irish, but he's British, I believe. But it's if you like Clive Owen, then you'll love this guy. Vice versa. I don't know. It's not coming to me, but yeah, maybe we'll. I'm sure law-abiding citizen. Thank you, Josh. You guys have seen this, right?
Kind of on chat, maybe. We kind of on chat.
I watched it over Christmas. The Great Holiday Movie.
Yeah, it's and that's the movie, by the way. Rich will hate if he's asking questions because there's some absurd things that happen. But just play along and it's fun.
That's
listen, I'm okay.
As well.
I'm okay playing along when I know I'm supposed to play along.
Yeah, this one you're supposed to play along. It's just ridiculous.
If I'm in on the joke, man, like I saw chat like brought up Expendables earlier. Like I'm cool with that. Like I'm cool just like swerving into that direction. I definitely have that gene.
Invisible Guest was similar to Crash, which somehow won Best Picture, but it was like
egregious.
It was serious, but it was a series of events that would literally never happen to anyone in this lifetime.
I've not seen Crash since when it won the Oscar.
Don't.
It's the old Bill Simmons. He has some good theories back in the day. Like he said, like you're supposed to wait a couple years. Like in 2023, you vote on the best movie for 2020. Like let the movie sit for 3 years and be out there in pop culture, and then we can have a bigger sample size to determine.
That's not bad.
But like people like immediacy, they don't want to know who won best movie.
I mean, listen, the biggest thing is who cares about the awards. Like what you
that's
like.
The other part.
Honestly,
like what you like.
That's why I'm trying to win this contest again because like I think my next I will pick a theme for us. And I will pick like a year of just Oscar films and like, hey, let's decide which Oscar film to watch.
I think,
and hopefully we just end up on Birdman. We can all watch Birdman.
12 Monkeys, it is though, Dean.
Yes.
Birdman was another one that had a lot of long shots, but I don't know how great that movie was. It was fine.
I love Birdman.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Right.
I like Michael Keaton.
It is a filmy movie though. There's a lot of single cam.
Yeah, it's shot really well. It looks really cool.
The openings isn't the whole movie actually, now that I say it, single cam?
So, I mean, there's some tricks going on where it's not really, but it gives the impression that it is. Like 1917, there's some tricks. There's like only one cut and it goes black. Otherwise, it's like a straight. They want to give the illusion that's a straight, shot. It's not, but it's still good. Hey, we got to tell the people where to find you, Rich.
Week 18.
2023. No, we're back. We're back for the playoffs. I saw it was overwhelming chat response to come back for the playoffs. We also strong-armed ourselves, not only getting the playoffs coming back, but we strong-armed the Super Bowl party as well. So kudos to us at the Pick Six Show, bullying the crowd here.
The tournament preview, the Swolecast, everyone literally thank us because I know it's from our bitching that we are only us that we are coming back. We were the only people to yell at the CEO on a show.
You guys are coming. I assume you wouldn't yell and then leave. Are you planning on coming?
Oh, but,
I mean, it's an obligation now.
Kind of
that would be a bold move, though. It's just like, I'm good. I'm just gonna stand.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it back.
I mean, literally the last time we had everyone that gets together to do a RotoGrinder show goes to the Super Bowl party in Nashville. Last time we had it was the last time we were all together. And I mean, dude, I can barely vaguely remember that because that was literally the weekend before airports started shutting down for the pandemic. Like that's how long ago it was.
Patriots Rams Super Bowl, I believe.
Yeah.
Niners Chiefs.
Niners Chiefs. And then I believe I went literally the weekend after I went to go see Rich and his family in Cleveland.
It's a weekend I will never forget for obvious reasons.
Well, yeah.
Being on a high note or a low note? I don't know what just happened there.
Well, no, it pushed me to the life changes I've made. So
yeah,
hey.
That's when he started falling apart.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I have a device in my heart now, but hey, we're good.
But now every photo you post on social media, I see all the comments. Everyone says, look at you, Rich, looking good. So yeah, because I nearly died. That's why.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I don't know that backstory, but I'm glad you're with us. I wasn't aware of that. I just flat out missed it. But and you look svelte. Svelte as ever. You look fabulous.
Well, Dean, I'll squeeze you in person.
We're going to go back to that same brewery. Maybe not get the Cocoa Nibs beer, but we'll get something else.
That is John Daigle from 4for4 Sports at BetSperts, Rich Hribar, Sharp Football Analysis, producer Steve as well. It was the NFL Pick Six Show, Week 18, the information slate, sponsored by Thrive. Again, check out that promo code Grinders for Thrive. Come back next week. We'll be breaking down the playoff slate. Looking forward to that. Win something this week. Come back next week. Do appreciate y'all. That's the show. We're out of here. Holler.